Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It's again Stefan Swanepoel here. What is today? It is June, Friday the 19th. We are in the middle of June. Jack, my partner, good to have you back on the call again here, Jack. Good to see you from Austin. I'm in California today. And Gino, the head of HomeServices of America and a good friend. We've had him at the T3 Summit and glad to have you back. The last time you and I actually did an interview was about 2 or maybe 3 years ago on stage. So delightful to have you back. Thank you very, very much. And Jack, well, why don't you jump in and take it away? Because last time I spoke to Gino, so maybe you could do some.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Gino, how's your family? How are things in your world? You know, we know we've just gone through a very remarkable period of time. And how are things on your end? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, Jack, on my end, things are great. I mean, it certainly was an adjustment. As you probably know from our past talks, Jack, I'm a big routine guy and have a routine that I've done for years, maybe 30 years, the same routine. And with COVID, it kind of had to shift, right? So I had a different routine, but it's allowed me to do some great things. One of the things that I incorporated into my routine was my mom will turn 90 next month, and my dad is going to turn 95 this month.
Wow, very cool.
And so I would travel every week. Okay, every week I would travel, as you know from my blog. This week my travel finds me wherever, right? And so what I used to do is every Saturday I would take them on a ride. I'd play the Gilligan's Island music, and it was the 3-hour tour, and they'd kind of chuckle and we'd go for a ride. Well, couldn't really do that now. But what I was able to do was make part of my routine, because I start early. I might start at my first call on Tuesdays at 4:30 a.m. So I'm up at 4 a.m. So I'm still up really, really early. And so by about 5 o'clock, I'm pretty well done. I put my half day, my 12 hours in, and I'm done and I'm ready. So I head over there and we started playing blackjack. So I've got my mom, 90-year-old mom, 95-year-old dad, their caretaker, and myself, and I'm the dealer, and we play blackjack until somebody wins 10 games. So it's usually about 35 games of blackjack, and that's been kind of like a piece of the new routine during that time. But other than that, just kind of like, the gym's closed, so you've got to kind of figure out how you're going to do that at home. Starbucks doesn't open at 5 a.m., so I had to do a little bit of a different routine there. My dog Kona, who I actually blogged on, last night. My dog Kona, who is by my side right now, has been by my side. So she's benefited a great deal from that routine.
Gino, and I'm guessing that with those blackjack games, you didn't win all of them, right? Your mom and your dad actually beat you a few times.
They did. They beat me. In fact, Dad won last. Dad at 95 and a little bit of dementia, but it hasn't affected his counting. That's interesting too. My daughter's is here. But she's in her doctorate at USC, and so she's explaining to me the stage of dementia that my dad's in, and exactly, hey, when you're dealing the card, he needs between 30 seconds and 2 minutes for everything to register. So as soon as she told me that, it was like, come on, Dad, do you want to hit or do you not want to hit? It's been good. Using
every advantage to what you possibly can, right?
Yeah, looking for any advantage. Turn my pickup truck in for a Tesla Model X because they gave free charges. So my routine every morning is me driving to the Tesla charge station with my dog, plugging the car in, going on my walk, doing my meditation and things like that, making some calls. Then Starbucks finally opens. I get my coffee. And I've got my coffee. I come back. I do my workout, and then boom, it's right into doing the work. But as you know, I measure. I just had a laugh right now. I measure everything. I want to drink 100 ounces of water every day. So my Starbucks, this is a 16-ounce cup. So I know if I drink 6 1/4 of them. So I literally measure what number I'm on each day. So I'm on my third 16 ounces today. The old, when performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates. So I do what I say, on those things.
You most certainly do. Jack is going to love you for that because Jack's a big coffee drinker too.
I am. I have a very, I don't go, I brew it here at home, but it is definitely part of my ritual every morning. And
Yeah.
I have 2 cups and then I go get on about my day. So
Yeah, mine's the 1 cup, and then the cup becomes a water cup, you know, and then it gets measured.
that's great. Well, in your conference, the other thing I was going to say is I think your conference was one of the last real estate conferences to happen before we all ended up going into this, lockdown situation. We had one of our team members, Dean, was there, and he said you guys did a lot of communication. You handled the situation really well. And I don't know all the play-by-play, but how did that work? Because you were there, and then you kind of knew it was happening, and then found out.
Yeah, that was Jack. That was an interesting one. The only one that came after us was the leading RE, the relocation one, right? That was that following Monday. We were already starting there. I got there on Thursday, and it was interesting because on the Wednesday we were all flying home, and on that famous Wednesday evening is when Trump gave his speech, and then Thursday it was lockdown. I mean, just like that. And then of course we had all of our staff. The way we do that is we run it with our staff. We've got our attorney, is holding signs, directional signs. I mean, the whole team kind of comes together for that. Denise Doyle does a great job of bringing us all together. So we basically went into, quarantine right after and notified everybody that was there. That was an interesting piece there. I haven't been tested, but I don't think I got COVID, but I haven't been tested. But I was with 6,000 people. And I shook hands with every single one and did more pictures. Chris Stewart and I did more pictures with that then. And luckily we didn't get it, but it was a timing thing. I'll tell you one little story from that, Jack. I had to get there on Thursday, and there was a chief of staff doctors meeting there for all the hospitals around the country that was staying at the Omni, right where I'm staying. So I'm in the elevator going up. Right, Stefan, I'm going up there. I look over, the guy's got his name tag on, and so I asked him, I said, hey, what do you think of this, And so he talked about, at that point, 47,000 people die from the normal flu. And I go, well, I travel every week and fly. And he goes, what do you think I'm flying? And his response right then was, look, there's a chief of staff from every hospital here, and everybody flew here. Kind of like putting it as ease, but it's so amazing from then to the next week how much things changed.
Yeah,
it just was remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially there wasn't sufficient information being shared, and we weren't quite understanding the extent of what it could be and was going to become. And I think many people did change their opinion from week to week as it evolved.
It certainly did. In fact, one of the things that that at Berkshire, our parent company, Berkshire Hathaway, which is kind of a really kind of I don't know, a cool thing or an exciting thing for me to be part of, like such a big international conglomerate as Berkshire Hathaway. We had a call with I was a real estate guy that was on the call, but we had a call with all the leaders when it hit 7 days per week. We had a call that Thursday when it went down, and then we were 7 days a week for probably 2 or 3 weeks. Then we went to 6 days per week. Then we went to 5 days per week. Then we went to 3 days per week. Then we went to one special time per week. And then the other time was just our morning, our regular weekly call that we had. But COVID became, it was top. We were tracking things like you would know. And I was communicating with our team the same thing on a daily basis. I don't think you can kind of like over communicate during times like this, right? We always talk about, you think, okay, they should know it. Everybody's an adult. They should be paying attention, but you just got to over communicate.
And Berkshire Hathaway is very, very unique in the sense that it has so many investments in so many companies. So there's probably almost not an industry that it doesn't touch. So we know it's one of the biggest shareholders in Apple and in Wells Fargo and in Bank of America and in Dairy Queen, Fruit of the Loom underwear. I mean, it covers just about everything. So I can understand that they would have to communicate because They just touched everything. And they had a big shareholding in airlines at one stage as well.
Yeah, actually, we own 10% of the 4 largest airlines, which was something that we got rid of. But yeah, and then I mean, like you mentioned Dairy Queen. That's another. Jack, here's another story for you. I'm at my beach house in Capitola, which I invite you guys up there sometime if you ever want to come up north and stay there. It was Dwight Clark's old principal residence, my football buddy partner. Any case, so there's a Dairy Queen there, and I had some workers out there doing some of that synthetic grass for me. So I decided to go through Dairy Queen to get them lunch, so they don't have to break for lunch. And I go there, talk to the Dairy Queen guy, which incidentally is wholly owned by Berkshire. And I asked him, hey, how you guys doing during COVID-19? He goes, we've never been busy, because it was one of the places that were open. So that's just kind of interesting in that whole respect too. Yeah. And that $71 or so billion investment in Apple, which is only about a 5% share, is still a big dollar amount, right?
Yeah. How has COVID impacted the real estate side, the home services side? What did you see? What happened in March, April, then any changes in May and June?
Yeah. That was kind of interesting too, because that thing hit. And the first thing I did, Stefan, and you'll appreciate this, you remember I owned Intero during 2007 and 8.
Absolutely. In California, great company. Yeah.
In California. And we barely made it through that. 80,000 real estate companies shrunk down to 45,000. Sales in Silicon Valley went from 25,200 to 12,000. And my biggest takeaway from that was, I didn't make the cuts quick enough. I didn't make them deep enough, but mainly not quick enough. I right-sized the company. It took me till 2008, so 2 years to right-size the company to take $8 million out of an annual budget. And it actually turned out that was exactly how much we lost during those 2 years, was what I would have taken out. So if I had taken it out right away. So the first thing I did was send out an email to all of our leaders and just said, look at guys, what I learned from the last time we had a downturn like this was this. I have, Stefan, I don't know if I ever shared it with you, but I have detailed everything. Stuart Blomgren, my great CFO at Intero, we had detailed every little cut that we had made during that time, right? And so I sent that out, and I said, look, my biggest mistake wasn't cutting quick enough and deep enough. And I got to tell you, the team responded. I mean, I love my team as it is, and they're great leaders, okay? But I just got so much more admiration for them because they just responded. They stepped up. They stepped up big time. We had a call, right? Basically if Trump talked on Wednesday night, Thursday night, everything happened. We had calls starting on Monday with my chief administrative officer, my CFO, my controller, myself. We had a call with every single CEO and CFO, okay, from all of our operating companies to discuss their market and their contingency plans. We did that, and that's like 34 companies, right? And then we did it again in 3 weeks, and we did it again, and we adjusted how it went along. But they just stepped up like you couldn't believe. We held best practices calls with the CEOs and CFLs, and it was all done on a lot of it was done on Zoom. I do it on Berkshire's. My security levels is at the one next level above the CEOs, so I can't do it on Zoom. I have to do it on Microsoft Teams because it's a secure one. But we did it on those, which was great. And the side benefit was got to know the leadership team even more because we were doing calls all the time. And then in there, you know how I've been a big proponent of the 4 disciplines of execution, right?
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
You've got focus, leverage, engagement, and accountability. Well, I started the CEOs in 2 different groups on those calls too. So every Monday I was on with them with that cadence, and it was terrific. And because luckily HomeServices is truly a full service real estate company. In other words, we've got brokerage, right? More transactions than anybody. We've got title. Mortgage. We've got insurance.
Yeah, mortgage.
Okay. We've got franchise, and we have mortgage. Well, as you all know, the mortgage market has been on fire because rates were so low. Rates are at a record low and margins are at 10-year highs, okay? So what happened was the mortgage company picked up every bit of the slack of what went off was in the brokerage company or the franchise company. They picked up every bit and more. So it minimized the disruptions to our employees and pay cuts and things like that because of our real full service that we are, So that was rather interesting too,
Jack, Paul Hagee, our executive editor of our publications, he's going to love that because we've been looking at maybe doing an article this year in the Trends Report about the value proposition of having ancillary businesses and having the mortgage and the title. And you've just given one of the best testimonials you could ever give for that concept.
It is. And look at, at Intero, I had a mortgage company. At Contempo, I had a mortgage company. I could never figure it out. Okay. It was like, here, agent, please use the mortgage company because it helps it helps our company. It's not like that anymore. It's like, hey, use our mortgage company because we have the best mortgage company in the country. And it's like, oh, okay, So luckily, when we acquired Long and Foster, we acquired one of the best, I think, the best mortgage company in the
Trident. I think it's Trident, right? Is it Trident?
Trident is the arm of the company that we got when we acquired Fox and Roach. Another
Fox and Roach, that's right. Yeah, Fox and Roach, yeah.
But Prosperity Mortgage is our mortgage arm there. So any case, yeah, mortgage really just bridge that gap so we could do things that, certainly we looked at expenses really well, and the CEOs did a phenomenal job on cutting out things that weren't necessary. Okay, communication around the companies just went up. I was almost on every company's Zoom call. I've been on every company's manager's call. Now I'm doing like a 30-minute tune-up with the 4 disciplines to the management teams. I mean, we had so many of them done, and then at the franchise level, I don't think there's been anyone more engaged than Chris Stewart. You ought to maybe have a chat with him one of these times. But with Chris Stewart, where he averaged 4 Zooms per week with either a panel or giving a great message or staying on top of the thing for some of our little from our smaller companies, COVID could tip you right over, right? So they needed to be kind of like up to speed on here's where you do this, or here's where you get that, here's where you get the different things, but just did an amazing job with a panel or a message. And he probably, I don't know how many, I think he averaged 4 of those per week.
We've all touched many more people, but it is also true, I think, in some regards, I know that Jack and I have sometimes said, we're starting to get almost Zoom fatigue, right? Because when you're doing, a dozen Zoom calls a day and each one is 45 minutes or half an hour or hour, as you said, start at 4 in the morning, you go to 5 in the afternoon, you've already had a 12-hour day and you've been in front of the screen the whole day.
Yeah, it was like, how does it feel to work from home? No, I don't think I'm working from home. I'm freaking sleeping at work. It was like, it was tough. My trap, my trap was like, flaring up. In fact, I don't have it here. I thought I had it. I got one of those. I had to get one of those guns that you put on your trap because of the here in front of the computer so much. And even Alan Dalton, it completely reinvented the brand Real Living, and all of these communications that came out there. I got to tell you, I knew I had a good team, but
now you felt it. You could see it firsthand.
You could see it firsthand. Somebody said to me, how do you have 34 direct reports? Well, you technically couldn't unless they were very, very, very talented people that really don't need
supervision. Yeah, daily supervision.
Right. And then that's how it works perfect for me.
Well, you said early on that you guys did the most transactions of any single real estate company last year, which is a true statement. That does mean, how is your transactions tracking? Did they go down in volume? I know you said the mortgage company made up, but did you see a drop in May? Yeah. Did it pick up again in June? How's the listings?
Immediately happened. Soon as March hit, okay, as soon as March hit, okay, we're going to track, and we're going to track the business days. So for example, April, I would track the number of business days and see how much are pendings. I was following the pendings for that, Stefan, and it was 50% off, 50% off.
Okay.
Down in pendings in those first couple of days, right? 50% off and slightly higher in volume, off, right? And then it would slowly go and slowly go and slowly go and slowly go down. So it's continue to improve. I think so. It still was at the beginning of this month about 24% off, but I get that every single day, and I get it via business days that you've had operating, because if you just do it by, June 7th, well, maybe Saturday and Sunday were these big days, right? And it'll throw the thing off. But I would do that report. I'd actually send that report up. So if Warren wanted to look at it, he got to look at it, or whoever would want to look at it above myself.
So you say you're feeling that it's still maybe about 24% or so, roughly, off of last year's same time, but it's tracking positively. It's climbing nicely in the right direction.
It's climbing nicely, and here's the crazy thing: is we actually have some areas of the country where it's tracking ahead.
It's ahead of last year. Yeah.
For example, you look at like Houlihan Lawrence, which there's a everybody's moving out of New York into like the Westchester counties and some of those. They're up 19%.
Over last year.
Over last year.
Wow.
Okay. We've got some other areas that didn't get hurt. Reese Nichols, Kansas City. There are different companies all around. Now, the coast, here, Silicon Valley.
They were hit the hardest.
California, we're hit hard, right? And the other coast and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But we're I'm just very, very, very optimistic, and it appears like that there's certainly a demand. There's certainly a demand out there for everything. And I kept saying this. I said, at first I thought there'd be no way that we could make budget in a COVID year. Okay. I'm looking straight into this camera. We're going to beat budget.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Because of everything that everybody on the team has done. I've always been lucky to be surrounded by great people and being in the right place at the right time, or luck, or someone calls you out of the blue, those types of things. Right. So it's exciting. I'm fired up and excited for it. And just, I want to get back to normal. Let me tell you.
Gino, I'm going to pause you there for a second, and I'm going to look Jack straight in the eyes. I'm going to say, did you hear that, Jack? Beat budget. So
I've been working very hard on that,
budget. And we can give that to all of our consulting clients, all of our clients, to ourselves and of our clients. Here's the new goal for 2020: beat budget. Beat budget.
You got to be Jack be nimble. Jack be nimble. Jack be quick. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great goal, and I love it. I love your passion, Gino. We've had a few people comment in, and just you're so passionate about your goals and the business and where you're headed. It's great. It's really great.
Yeah. Well, the team too has developed really the system. I always call it the West Coast offense for running a real estate company, but they've been open to the system, and now we understand how the four disciplines can really help everybody, whether you're running an agent running a team, a manager running a branch, or a CEO running a company.
So Gino, you've got the four principles. We know that you're a very routine man. We know that you love coaching and mentoring. You're very passionate about helping people, and you also accept mentors and coaches to help you. So you've given us a lot of advice, but what would you say is the main secret of Gino Blefari that helps you achieve your goals, your dreams, your passions, your vision?
Thanks for that, Stefan. It's a passion to learn and grow.
Passion to learn and grow.
And certainly I got a passion to serve too. Okay. I mean, if I can help you, my mission is I help people achieve their goals faster than they would in my absence. So that's what I love to do. So it's great, but it's a passion to learn. In fact, I got a new, let me just pull my little phone up here and click into, because I sent this to one of my buddies today and told him to go ahead and and get this thing. But I don't know if you've heard about this one here, but this, and I own no stock in it or anything like that, but Blinkist, okay?
Blinkist.
You're familiar with that, okay? It summarizes books. Last Saturday, I listened to 10 books. 10 books, summaries of 10 books that I would not know anything about, science, dark matter and dinosaurs, the sixth extinction, all sorts of just things. But I think that I would just say it's that, Stefan, the passion to what am I doing to improve so I'm better this week than I was last week.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Just thinking of all the people that we've interviewed at the T3 Summit where you've been many, many times, those leaders which excel beyond what is even expected from them, that excel past the normal, are usually people, of course, they have all the normal skills, they have all the good traits, they do all the right thing, but they've got that deep passion, commitment, and energy to just never give up and just go 14 hours a day, right? Non-stop. There's no slowing down. And you're one of those guys. No slowing down.
Thank you.
Cool. Very, very cool. Very cool.
I mean, if you didn't love what you do,
Get out of it.
Do it. If you didn't love what you do largely because of the people you get to do it with, you wouldn't like it as much either.
Yeah.
Okay. So the secret is, if it was one thing, it's that burning desire to continue to learn and get better. But then it's another thing is loving what you do, and even more loving who you get to do it with. So
I'm going to ask you for a piece of advice. This is Stefan and maybe it's Jack and T360 asking for a little bit of advice from Gino. We've seen that we've almost try to come to the end of COVID. I know there could be a second wave, but we're trying to get our hands around it. And as you so lovingly said, don't we all wish we could get back to normal? And here we have yet another major crisis in the country and in our industry, and the whole diversity and the struggles with disenfranchised, disadvantaged minority groups. And it's such a struggle. Gino, what can we do as an industry? What can we do for real estate to try and improve the lives of disadvantaged minority and or other groups in our industry? What can we do together? What can we do together?
We got to just be aware. That's number one, right? When there's an issue, you got to be aware of it. I was kind of lucky. One of our attorneys at HomeServices, we were sharing books, and she said, Gino, what are you listening to right now? And I told her what I was listening to, and I asked her what she was listening to, and she was listening to this book called The Color of Law. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of that book, Stefan, but I'm
writing it down. Yep, I'm writing it down.
I recommend it for everybody to read. So I listened to the book, The Color of Law, because you know how we had those, there was the situations that came out on Long Island, with the redlining and all of that there. So it was top of mind. And that's the start, just kind of like becoming like aware. And our companies, all for this special day today, this potential, somewhat holiday day today, all of them lots of them have done different things. And that's the neat thing that we like, that's the Berkshire way of letting your operating companies be their operating companies and operate. I'll give you an example. The mortgage company, and it's really, really busy right now, right? Everyone would agree it's mortgage with refinances and closings and things like that. And Friday happens to be, as you get more towards the, past the middle of the month, gets to be an incredibly busy time. So here's what Prosperity Mortgage did. Instead of having an official company holiday, the way Prosperity was honoring Juneteenth was they took how much it would cost the company to make it a holiday. It turned out to be $150,000, okay? And they took that $150,000 and gave it to organizations that promote that. And one of them, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, is one of the groups that they gave to. So everybody does it, different ways. We just got to be, I think, you just got to be aware. I blogged on it a little bit. You probably saw my blog.
Well, yeah, okay, but you're right. I mean, we have to be conscious. We have to be aware. We have to care. We have to respond. and we have to in some way do something tangible, and not only because it's top of a mind today, but we have to continue. We have to continuously make a difference.
Absolutely.
And it's not an easy problem to fix, right? I mean, it's a big generational, lifelong thing. We won't solve it in a day, but if we can take a step forward, as you said, every day or every week, maybe we can break this thing down.
Get better. Yeah, get better at it. Get better at it every week.
Yeah.
You know, it just I think just that book, The Color of Law, gave me just such a great background on how it happened, how we got to where we're at, you know.
Well, we are definitely, I see that Cindy Doll on one of the chat boxes next to us, she just said that she agrees with you. The Color of Law was an excellent book. And Chris Riley has quickly given us a link where you can go get that book or some more articles about that. So I think you may have pushed a few hundred people maybe over to go read that book. And I'm gonna get it on audio as well, so I can listen to it, because that's a much quicker way.
Sure.
Jack, some questions on your side. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that this particular area is, like Stefan said, super challenging. And, I know that, Berkshire Hathaway is a large company, has the same challenge of any large company, which is how do you develop and grow leaders? How do you help groups that are underrepresented in leadership? And I'm wondering about the conversation within the context of that large company. How does that come up? How do you guys address it or talk about it?
Yeah. Jack, it's interesting. I think it might have been, and she's probably listening right now, so maybe she can, chat box in. Yep. Teresa Palacio Smith. Okay, she was the she was a relocation person in our Georgia properties, but she was the president when I met her probably 5 years ago. She was a president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, NAREP. Okay, and in any case, this is probably going back 3 or 4 years ago. We created a position for her as the vice president of diversity, inclusion, and women in leadership. All right, and we've leveraged. She's been doing some great things. She teaches some courses on the whole thing. She does a whole bunch of stuff, and that's another great way where we can leverage that. I know our companies are all doing their diversity groups and just becoming very, very aware and taking actions with it, and supporting those groups.
I just thought I'd quickly tell you that Diane Glass, she's from Berkshire Hathaway Chicago. She just wants to let you know that Berkshire Hathaway Chicago is in the house. They're listening to you. Yes. And another person came in here and said, Gino, love your passion and excellence in leadership. Another person said, rock on, partner. So you have clearly a huge respect that you've built up, not only in Intero, but because the Intero company came across, but within the Berkshire family. How is Ron Peltier doing these days?
He's doing great. He's doing great. Spending, I think you've spent pretty much shelter in place probably there in Florida, but he's doing wonderful.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So how do you think the year is going to end for the industry? Do you think that we are going to have COVID hopefully behind us? Maybe at least the challenges we have at the moment with the current Black Lives Matter, maybe at least somewhat curtailed. Hopefully by December we'll have the election behind us. How do you think we're going to have 2021? Can we get back to normal 2021?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, I'm an optimist, right? I'm an optimist. 2004, I was on Kudlow and Kramer, and they asked me what I thought about the real estate market. And I said, we're in for a soft landing, and we had the biggest real estate recession in the history. So, it's like the horse race. The winner is nobody knows, right?
No, nobody does.
I'm very optimistic. I know HomeServices is going to have a great year in 2021, and I know we're going to finish this year extremely strong because of the great people that we have on our team. But I just think that there is a pent-up demand. We could see a little bit of that V shape coming right back. It just seems like it. There's multiple offers. Inventory still an issue, so it's kept prices strong. We've got just incredible interest rates. right? Incredible interest.
Yes, I mean 2.5% and 2.9%,
Yeah.
15-year and 30-year fixed.
Yeah.
Incredible, very low. It's almost like stealing, because it feels like you're printing money for free.
Yeah, it's great.
Jack does a lot of research in our company, and he did some incredible work. I know he was looking at people going to open houses and visiting houses and lockbox statistics and some of the listings. And Jack, share some of that stuff which you found out about. Gino was talking about that V shape. You saw a V shape in a few places.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few indexes that have been published recently that are really interesting. I mean, Showing Time has their showings index, which is great, and shows you what people are doing as far as showings, and you can see the recovery. Some states are above where they were last time, same time last year. So a lot of what you shared, Gino, there's a few states that are there. And then I do want to give a shout out to Realtor.com, which they published a recovery index recently, which is a really pretty cool tool that is showing, listings coming on market and pendings and a lot of that. So even if you don't, I think, Gino, you've got this advantage. You have this huge company, so you have a lot of visibility kind of built into your network that's coming through you. But even if you don't, these are some resources that anybody can go use. And the other piece we're seeing, we run a broker mastermind. We've been doing it every week through the COVID period. And we just now moved it to monthly, similar to your, 7-day, 6-day, 5-day, 4-day, as things start to improve. But in that mastermind, we've been talking to brokers all over the country, and some of them are this is the busiest they've seen in years. And
yeah, so some of our, we not only, touch maybe, 30 or so markets with the company-owned stores, but another 275 markets on the franchise side, or maybe 300 markets. And I know, I think Zach Shore, right there at the New Jersey Shore, right now they're like up 54% over last month. It's just kind of crazy how some of it has come roaring back.
Yeah.
I thought you'd love to see this. The Real Estate Almanac. It is a 450-page analysis of everything that Jack and I consider, and of course, our entire team in real estate. We try to look at the leaders, the women, the associations, the MLSs, the franchises, the networks, the brokerage companies, the public companies. I mean, we truly try to take everything and put as far as we possibly can, a neutral, objective analysis and bent to everything. And I mean, this is just, it is chart after chart, after table after table. And we try to take, again, all the emotion out of it and put as a factual piece of information as we possibly can. And it's hard to get all these facts. And there are many sections in here, but I'm turning to one of the sections which I thought you would appreciate. And we sent you a complimentary copy yesterday in the mail, so you might be getting it next week. If you look at this section here, top brokerage companies, look at the top there. And you will see, it says number one, HomeServices of America for the year 2019, number one with 329,680 transactions. And then it gives the sales volume, it gives the agent count. And then it goes on the transaction side, you, meaning Berkshire Hathaway, HomeServices, then Realogy, EXP, Howard Hanna, Compass, Redfin, Wyckott's, HomeSmart, Keller, and then West US at number 10. So this just arrived from the printer 2 days ago, and my staff are in the offices next door packaging and shipping this up. So this is started heading out the door yesterday, and will still head out the door today. So it's going to be hitting the industry early next week.
Great. I know you have the best research in the industry, so that's terrific. How many pages is it?
450.
400. Okay, yeah. I think I need you to make it 1,000 pages, same stuff, but just make the print bigger.
We could do that if this thing wasn't so damn heavy to ship. Yeah, it is. We believe that knowledge, of course, is power, but knowledge is only power if you actually know how to use it, right? Because information is a tool. It's not about a list. It's not really about who's number one and number two, number three. It's gathering all the information so that we all know what is actually going on.
Yeah, and you know what? And I don't know if everyone tells you enough how much the industry appreciates what you guys do and what you guys do add to it. So on behalf of all the brokers in the book, thank you. Okay.
That is extremely, that shows a lot of character, and you almost have me tearing up here. Thank you very, very much. We were trying to add up how many companies are represented in here, and it's hard to count them all, but my staff says it's 2,257 entities. And then we just count Berkshire as one, right?
Mhm.
I mean, 2,257. I said associations, MLSs, the women, the upcomers. We're trying to see if we can somehow get good benchmarking, good numbers for everybody, and that you can have it in one concise place that you can, hopefully use it, reference it, and use it as a guide. Okay,
Yeah,
Jack, let's give Gino a nice finish. Another 1-2 questions as we wrap it up in 2-3 minutes here.
Yeah, and I'll be pulling out my magnifying glass so I can read the thing.
So, Gino, what would you advise the average, if we have the average broker, the average agent, the person in the industry, man on the street, woman on the street, selling real estate today, what's some advice you have for them? What's something you could share with them that would help them develop and grow their business? You've shared some great things about learning and passion.
Yeah, certainly no different than what I would share any other time. But with what's going on right now, with Zoom being so popular, you might, if I'm an agent, I might offer a 20-minute free CMA Zoom presentation to you, right? Might do something like that. I would be into video. I'd be doing as much video as I can. Video is obviously very, very popular and very effective. It sounds funny, but I would be farming divorce attorneys. Okay. I know it sounds crazy, but there's going to be a spike with everybody being home. It just is what it is. And that's a great source of business. I'd be certainly calling my center of influence and just checking in with them. You just, do your, basically, I get this all the time. I'll be on a panel. Gino, what's working for your agents right now? You've got all these, 90,000 agents. What's working for them? And I say, Jack, you know what works for them? When they work. That's what works for them, right? It's, we're in a business that's not for the weak-willed or the faint of heart. It's for those of us who get sick to our stomach. We're not in the top 10% of any competitive activity, right? And a realtor, we eat what we kill. That's
isn't that the truth?
Right? But there's so much great stuff.
Good advice. Foundational.
Show up to for sale by owner with a cleaning kit. Some hand sanitizer and some best things to do. 5 things to remember while selling during COVID. Those types of things.
I'm going to wrap up, Gino, and I'm going to re-quote you on something which you said, which I think I'm going to post as well shortly. You said, "I don't feel that I'm working from home, but I'm sleeping at work." I mean, that is so true. This year, I will be married for 40 years to the same wife, and she said she has never seen me for so many hours contiguously. Over a period of time, she says, usually you're away 3 or 4 days a week. So although we've been married for 40 years, she says, to be honest, we're probably only married about 25 years because the other 15 years you weren't here. Well, yeah. Now I'm trying to make up for lost time, right? So that divorce attorney, we're not getting divorced, but I can fully appreciate that humor because sometimes you're in each other's space all the time, right? I mean, you're so close.
I think a COVID year is like a dog year. 1 year, 7.
Totally.
Well, Gino, on behalf of Jack and the entire T3 team, and I'll say also behalf of the industry, thank you for your time. We said to you 45 minutes. We want to keep true to that. It's been a delight to have you. Thank you for what you do for the industry, and thank you for what you do for your own team. We know your team loves you, and look forward to seeing you at the T3 Summit or somewhere else soon. Take care.
Okay, right back at you guys. Thanks very much, Jack and Stefan. All righty.
All right.
See you guys.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.